What's up guys, Chasing Lady here with episode number 17 of our Williams revival on F1 Manager 22. So, we're going to Miami today. That's our race for this episode. We've got another development point that popped up between episodes for Oscar Piastri. I'm sure I used it, but it's fine. We'll add that again to his smoothness. He's gone up a ranking point. 77 is quite strong. I don't know why that puts him on the grid, because I've not had a proper look. Let's have a little look while we're here, while I'm thinking about it. So 77, does that put him on the first page? It doesn't put him on the first page. We are just about to finish our scouting on these drivers as well. Hopefully Valtteri's contract is running out, so he's got at least an option for us. In terms of drivers on the grid, I think Sonoda is the only one who is weaker. Jahandra Uvala has got an AlphaTauri driver, I didn't spot that. I think there's anyone else in a number one driver seat or a race seat rated lower than Piastri, but Piastri also has a race win, so we're okay with that. That's fine. Okay, so I said there's no one rated lower, but there is of course Porsche as well, who is the lowest ranked driver on the grid at the moment. But that's absolutely fine. They sit in 9th and 12th. We sit 6th in the Constructors' Championship, which is what's important. But we need to keep going forward, see what these scout reports say, and see what we can do in terms of developing the car, making the car that we've built the last chassis that we had, or finished building the last chassis that we have, which is good. And our scout report should be in. So there are 3 years left on Lando's contract, which means we're probably not taking Lando. There are 2 years left on Alonso's contract, 8 months on Valtteri's, which makes him very able to be bought out. What are we saying about Oscar Piastri's performance? His performance rating is over. We knew that. If he's got extra bonus points in the background, has anyone else got one? I don't think they have. That would have popped up by now. Yeah, all good. Right, let's keep going forward. Let's keep moving our mission forward. We also did some work on the simulator in the last episode because we do need to get these driver ratings up. We're low on underfloors. Am I currently developing an underfloor? That's my first question. Let's have a look at that. Let's see what we're doing with current part development. That will help us. I don't think I'm currently doing underfloors, so we can build some underfloors. That's probably wise. We did break one in the last race with Piastri. He's still got himself a good finish, but we did break one. So it would be nice, I suppose, if we could not. Why has that got a helmet next to it? Is there a driver using that? There shouldn't be. I'm very confused. Anyway, let's... I don't understand this game sometimes. Let's build ourselves 4 more. We're going to rush it, I think, because at least then we get a couple over the race weekend. That will help us out should we need them. And we'll keep going through the emails. I don't know why he keeps sending me 2 emails about there being low stock. You'd think 1 email would be enough. Just wasting time, Michael. Please stop doing that. You're just wasting office time. We've manufactured a suspension memorabilia room in poor condition. I don't know if we can afford to refurb it. We can't. We'll do that after the race because we do need to preserve the glorious Williams memorabilia train. That is, of course, always going to be very, very important. But we've made it to Miami, which means all that is left to do is to set our goals for the race, check the inbox for our race preview, see what's going to happen there. Charles Leclerc is at the top of the Drivers' Championship by 2 points, and we're expecting heavy rain in the race. Hope it is actually heavy rain, because that caught us out in Australia a little bit. It was not great for us. Right, our targets today, qualifying, well, we're going to reach Q3 and Q2, so we'll take that bonus money. Let's have a little look, see what we're doing with finishing position. I'm going to predict actually, with a wet race, I think top 8, a point scoring position is a possibility. We are doing okay on our finishing position and qualifying position streaks, which is also beneficial. Okay, so to the race, I shall see you when we line up on the grid. So we've reached the end of qualifying then. It's been a bit mixed conditions, which has led to quite the mixed up grid. So the front row, all Ferrari lockout with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Oscar Piastri has found his way into a brilliant 3rd. Hamilton in 4th, Verstappen in 5th, Gasly in 6th, Russell in 7th, Bottas in 8th, Perez in 9th, Alonso in 10th. The rest of the grid, Porsche in 11th, Norris, Magnussen, Vettel, Zhou Guanyu, Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo, Alex Albon, and Yuki Tsunoda at the back, but it was a very, very mixed qualifying. At one stage in Q1, Verstappen just barely squeaked through with a decent time in the wet to get himself out of it and into contention for the rest of the session, but he was very, very lucky. Let's skip the race day and raring to go thing, because we are race day and raring to go. We're in heavy rain today. I don't know if we're going to have heavy rain for the entire race. That's going to be the first thing that's important to check out. So we're looking at rain coming in around lap 20 to 21, which is a good place to kind of start the bidding for this. I think it's going to be an interesting strategy, this one, because I think we could end up doing a period here on, probably if we scooch that back a little bit, lap 2021, we're probably going to go to Inters, and then we're probably looking at another stint in the middle here where we go onto wet, probably around there. And then we're probably, again, looking for a stint towards the back end on Inters, but it will all depend on how that track dries up. So this could go either way. It's going to be a bit of a long one. I don't know if we can do that first stint on softs, probably not. Bit of a risk, but you know, we could theoretically push the entire thing through and end in a really good position here. I mean, that's sort of what I think today's strategy is going to look like. I'm going to have a little look just to see how far Pourchaire's strategy goes. We're going to kind of call him on the fly. He should be able to get to lap 20. There is part of me that wants to do an experiment where we try and not push him on the tyres quite so much and try and make him extend, but feels kind of futile, so we'll just go for the straight to mediums, and then we'll set him up for a switch to Inters at around lap 21. Again, this could be slightly off because our radar is not as good as it could be, and then we're looking at certainly a switch to wets around here, and we'll play the last stint by ear because, you know, it could be that it doesn't really dry up, it could be that it does. We'll soon find out. Either way, that's going to be our strategy for this one, because I think that's roughly where we're at. Let's actually select strategy D, otherwise the game will shout at me. Right, just making sure I've got all the right parts in. I should have all the right parts in. We're going to go fuel-wise. I think we can burn off most of that fuel before it starts raining, so we'll probably do that. So 57 laps, we're adding 3. Yeah, we should be okay to burn that off. We'll go good fuel usage, and we're going to really push the ERS. In fact, we're going to just deploy from the start because we're on the second row. It's not impossible. We could get ourselves onto the front row quite quickly. Obviously, Pourchaire is going to have to do quite a lot of overtaking, which is not necessarily his strong point. But I think that's how we're going to go. I think actually we might... I'm tempted to start Pourchaire a little bit lighter off the line. We're not going to fill the tank up, but if we had 2 laps, just because I think he's going to need the extra boost, and we'll see how that all goes for him as we continue, because, you know, it's very much an it could go either way proposition for Pourchaire. And yeah, we've got good weather right now. We are very much expecting it to start absolutely pelting down in the very, very near future, which is not going to be beneficial to us. But, you know, we'll make the best of it, because that is, of course, what we do. And we're ready to go. Third on the grid. Can we get a good start? Be leading when it rains. If we're leading when it rains, we should be absolutely laughing. So we'll go on board with Piastri, because he's going to get a lightning start, you would hope, off of the grid. Going into turn 1, as you have a look, he's not having a look at Carlos Sainz just yet, but he is looking racy today, which is something we like to see. Obviously, we've got Hamilton and Verstappen coming through strong as well. Perez is one to watch, down in 9th at the moment, because he will certainly find his way past the Alfa Romeos and probably the Mercedes. And then it's just a case of, can Pourchaire pull himself through? Also worth noting, actually, we're going to have to try and get ourselves a fastest lap before we get into the rain period. That's going to be a key thing for me to keep an eye on. So I'm going to try and save some battery as soon as we get to a point where that looks like is possible, because we need to get that DRS and ERS all fully boosted, ready to go, ready to set a fastest lap. Although actually, fastest lap isn't worth the extra point anymore, so it's fine. We don't have to worry. I keep forgetting fastest lap's not worth a point this season because I'm old and slightly senile. It's fine. Right, let's power down this back straight, try and keep up with the Ferraris. We should be able to get a move done here. We've got enough space. I'd have kept pressing on that ERS button. I'd have drained the entire thing to get ahead of Sainz here. But what do I know? I am, of course, not a Formula 1 driver. I just want us to make sure we're in the leading pack when that big second gap to Verstappen opens up, because that will keep us kind of clear a little bit of him. We're really pushing just to keep up with the Ferraris. I mean, we shouldn't mistake this early pulling away from Verstappen for necessarily true pace, because we are deploying quite hard to try and keep Verstappen behind us. He does have a much quicker car. We're just trying to make enough separation that when DRS opens up as an option, we can finally leave Verstappen behind and really start building a gap and sort of secure the podium is what it's about. It's about securing the bag, as the kids say. That is going to be our thing. Verstappen, I think, must be going full deploy as well to try and keep up with us, because he was definitely losing time. Certainly through these sections, we should have an advantage over the Red Bull, and that's where I'm hoping we'll start pulling out the gap. Really want us to be at above 1 second before we make it across the start-finish line for the start of the third lap of the race when DRS is enabled, because if we've got the gap, then we will be away, free, clear and flying. Porsche, meanwhile, not doing much of the overtaking, despite me giving him the power of the holy overtake. You would think he will want to make the best of that, as we're going to go for a little look, I think, here, down the inside of Carlos Sainz. We're going to go for a look. Are we just going to be happy to just kind of get dragged away? We are still not fully clear of Verstappen, but that can't be far away, you'd think. He's definitely better than us under braking. He's going to drop that down to about a half-second gap, you would think, very shortly. There we go. But we just need to pull away. We need to pull away as fast as we possibly can. DRS enabled. We are going to drop Piastri down to a neutral, kind of keep him in a good position. We are still having a little look at Sainz. We tried an overtake, didn't quite make it, but I think we're just kind of settling in a little bit now for the long haul. We're just going to get through each DRS zone, see what we look like, because you've got to think we've got to have a shot at least of pulling away, especially the one that comes through the back section, the S's. Well, we already have an advantage because of our superior high-speed cornering above the Red Bulls. You would think we should be able to get some good tow away there. DRS open here. This is the bit I was talking about. If we can use the DRS really to our advantage, we should be in an okay position here. But it looks like Verstappen is still using a little bit of deploy to pull himself away. Porsche not really doing a lot either. Let's jump on board with Porsche, because he actually does have a chance of making an overtake down this back straight, you would think. He has to get past Alonso pretty quickly onto the back of Perez. Now we can sort of follow Perez through up to Verstappen. I think we're in a good position. So we're going to open up DRS. We're going to deploy as much battery as we need to deploy to get this overtaking job done. Can we get it done down the inside here? We are gaining. He is using the ERS. Can we make it past Alonso? We are reaching a point where we're level. He's on the hard tyres as well, which should give us an advantage. We've taken advantage of that a little bit, and we've found our way through, and now we just need to be pulling ourselves away. Let's have a look at the gap to Perez. We're well outside of a second behind Perez, which is going to be an issue. So we're going to do a deploy, really manage the ERS in this one, just because if we can use the deploy, if we can get ourselves back to Perez and away from Alonso, Porsche's still in with a chance of some good points. We just need to attach him to the back of this DRS train and stop him leading his own, because at that point we're in a really, really strong position to do something. We're going to come off of the back of this hairpin now, really push it, really get the hammer down. That's what we're looking for. We are going to lose the train ahead of us, though, because of the DRS that's coming up, which is going to be a real disappointment, unless if we just snuck inside it here. I think we might just have snuck inside it. Did we sneak in? We didn't quite sneak in. That's disappointing, but it's fine, because we will be inside it for this DRS zone. I have a feeling down the back straight, at which point we can really push ourselves up and into a bit of a battle with Perez. He's being held up by Bottas, which is definitely helping us, for sure. We do need that little bit of help sometimes. And we're inside the 1 second margin now. We just have to keep ourselves going. Go on, have a big push down this back straight. Big push, DRS open. Just have to leave Alonso behind, which we're doing. We are in the DRS train, which is the perfect place for us to be. We're going to have a look at Perez. That was almost a bit of a cheeky dive bomb. We didn't pull it off in the end, but that's absolutely fine. We can drop down to neutral now because we are firmly in that DRS. At least for now, we've set a new fastest lap with Piastri, and we're having a little battle up the top now with the two Ferraris, which is definitely pushing us back into Verstappen. I think we're going to stay on board for this one, and I'm going to deploy the overtake down the back straight, because these Ferraris are not pulling away from us. They're not pulling away from us. That logically means we can find a way past them. We are staying within a couple of tenths of them all the way through here. Staying up behind now, we're going to wait for the DRS to open, see if this really helps pull us closer and closer to Sainz. It should do. DRS opens just around this corner, and here we are. Time for a big pull-up on Sainz. Leclerc also going to have a look. Ferrari's going into battle again. If they could collide here, we'd be laughing. We're going to have a look around the outside, just like Charles Leclerc is. I don't know what the tyre situation is. Sainz has gone on the hards. He should have had no trouble getting past him, Leclerc. We should have no trouble getting past him either. Once we get ourselves into the right situation, I think we're going to come out of here looking for the overtake down the back straight, because if we can get the overtake done here on Carlos Sainz, we can pull away with Leclerc. We can kind of really leave Sainz and Verstappen to their own little battle, because being on the hards at this stage in the race, I think, is kind of suicide, because there's just nothing to be gained from doing that. I mean, this battle's going on way longer than it should be. There should be nothing to gain from being on hards at this point. ERS has run out, so we'll go back to a neutral on that one as well. What's going on with Leclerc? Has Leclerc got some kind of issue? He's not catching back up to Sainz. He can't be being sent to defend against us, because he's the definite number one driver at Ferrari. I know Sainz is the current world champion, I believe. I can't remember. I think Sainz won the world championship last year, but Leclerc is certainly leading the championship as the lights go out today. We just need to get ourselves pulled up onto the back of these Ferraris, really keep ourselves going really close. The entire top 10 is in a DRS train right now, which is really good to see. Really good to see some actually close racing. You could almost, Porsche is 10th, and you could almost get everyone on the same straight. Once we pull onto the back straight, I think everyone in the top 10 is actually on the back straight, which is, quite ridiculous when you consider everything that Formula One is supposed to be these days. Bottas having a very good race there, still holding up Perez. I mean, unfortunately, he's also holding us up a little bit, which is not necessarily the best thing for business, but we're holding on to a podium with Piastri, so we can't complain too much. There's going to be some attrition. There's going to be a little bit of team tactics into play, and then we have the whole top 10, and indeed 11th, 12th and 13th all on the main straight. I think everyone could actually be on the main straight once here. Either way, let's have a little pull down, see if we can get ourselves back into the fight. Let's see what's going on up top with Piastri, Sainz and Leclerc still battling. Those guys are going to collide in the very near future. I'm tempted to, we're going to keep Piastri on neutral for a little while, because we need that to be a thing, quite honestly. We need to keep Piastri on neutral for a little while. Porsche, I'm thinking, once we've got this gap sort of evened out. Having a look down the inside, though, Verstappen coming with a cheeky look on his hards. We need to get ourselves back in front of him quick, sharpish, because that is not going to be okay. He must have come from a long way back. He was a good half second down. We've got the position back, which is what we were really asking for. We need to really be focusing on ahead of us rather than behind us. That's the ideal situation in terms of the rest of this race, for sure. We're going to speed things up a little bit, see if things develop any, because we need something to happen. They're still battling. We've gone through about half a lap forward. They're still having a battle. Oh, Verstappen's absolutely pulled our pants down then. Absolutely ripped our knickers off. right, we're going to go on a harvest. We're not going to fall out of this train in a hurry, so we're just going to keep trying to boost our DRS, or our ERS, I should say. Pourchaire also very much in the fight, so we're going to do another harvest there, really pull things back a little bit. I'm not too worried about Piastri falling off into a sort of second separate DRS train just yet, because Hamilton's going to pull through and help us out a little bit too. We'll get ourselves on this DRS here. We should be okay. Like I say, I'm not stressing too much, because as long as we've got Hamilton to help keep us towed up to the rest of the field, we should be fine. And I should think Hamilton's got enough pace to get himself into that train, get himself really going amongst Verstappen and Leclerc and Sainz. I mean, that battle up top isn't breaking anytime soon, I would say. I think they're going to keep on fighting together. Someone's run wide in Sector 1. Not sure who that was. Can't see any evidence of who that might be. Was it a Ferrari? Potentially. It may have been. It was Carlos Sainz who ran wide. I was thinking it must have been a Ferrari because someone was slow ahead of us. Oh, that's a dangerous rejoin. That's got to be a penalty. You've got to say that's a penalty in any realistic situation. That is an absolute madness. We're going to put Piastri back onto his neutral now, purely because he's in a good position. I think we've got to put Pourchaire back onto neutral as well, otherwise he is going to lose the back of Perez, and he's going to get caught up with Magnussen, which is not a thing we're looking to happen. In fact, we'll do a bit of a deploy just to get that gap back on the balance we want it to have. And we've sort of reconnected the train accidentally a little bit there, which we didn't want to do. I might even try a bit of overtake, because if we can get ourselves past Perez, we are going to be okay. I don't know what's going on with Sainz. Sainz might have damaged his car, looking at the speed he's pulling there. He's not pulling away from Hamilton, which you'd expect him to be doing. DRS open. We're going to go for a look up the inside of Sergio Perez, which would be a monumental place for us to be if we can make that work. We had a look. We didn't quite make it. We're going to make it stick this time through the hairpin. Maybe not. But over the start-finish line, you've got to think sitting duck. I don't know what's happening with the AI clipping. That's driving me a little bit mad. I'm not going to lie. Either way, we are staying as close to as we can, and K-Mag has just sort of come with us. Up top, we do need to really, really get a push on here, so I'm gonna zoom forward a little bit, just so we can get ourselves back in touch with the big, long back straight, because once we get there, I am going to send Piastri on a bit of a tear. We're going to absolutely go for it. That's going to be my plan. We're going to go full deploy and try and get him back in front of these two and just kind of gone, because I'm fairly convinced that Sainz must have some sort of damage coming off of his little expedition out of the track limits. See what we can do here. DRS is open. We're going big on the deploy. Hamilton having a look at Sainz as well, which is another thing telling me Sainz must be vulnerable. We're going to come across the start-finish straight, drop down to another neutral. We should be okay, though. Hamilton's found a way through Sainz. Now we just need Piastri to follow Hamilton through. If we lose Hamilton, this could be game over for us. And, I mean, it's not looking promising. It's got to be said. I'm going to go into overtake mode now with Piastri. We're really, really try and force the issue. Try and force our way past Sainz or Hamilton or both. Ideally, they're going to battle now. We've been stuck behind little battles that seem to go on forever all day. We're at the back of the DRS train now. Let's see if we can do anything. Open up the flaps and let's go, boys. Let's see what we can do. Get ourselves in a good position. Passing Sainz on the inside. Up the back of Hamilton. Now, he's going to come back at us. Every time you get squeezed to that wall, you just lose so much time. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't really understand it, but it's, I guess the thing we have to deal with on the game. We're going to let things proceed. Piastri is having a little bit of a drop-off, falling behind Gasly, who really shouldn't be involved in the conversation, if we're completely honest. Something on the inside of Gasly should be okay here. Can we pull ourselves through? We've got squeezed to the wall again. Why do we keep doing that to ourselves? Right, I'm going to do a harvest. That's my plan. We're going to do another couple of laps of harvest. We are going to lose some time to Piastri and to Russell, but we should have enough about our car to be able to get up to them again, get ourselves back into some kind of contention. It's very much a case of leapfrog, I think, this race. Pourchaire, on the other hand, is still staring at the back of Valtteri Bottas, and it's not really where I want him to be. I mean, vindicates my decision to maybe put Bottas in the car for the second half of the season, because that car is nowhere near as strong as ours. Shouldn't be anywhere near where it is. We need to get someone squeezed up the inside here. That's going to be the biggest thing we can do to really guarantee some success in today's race. Pourchaire, I think, is going to be another guy who needs to start conserving some battery shortly. We are going to have to try and pull clear of Magnussen before I try that. Otherwise we'll be in trouble. Piastri has attempted an overtake on George Russell, which is not helping matters as we try and get ourselves back up the field. It's got to be said. Let's go to a double time again, really speed things up. That's going to be something quite important for us to do as we go into the next DRS zone. This is where we're really going to start coming into our own. We're going for the big push. Can we get past George Russell? Gone round the outside. Staying up the inside now. Can we do it? Can we? Oh, we've been squeezed again. Can we get it onto this last back straight? That's the bit I really care about. Can we push down here? Really get the DRS open. Really go for it. He should be a sitting duck. We should get him. We have got him. We're up into 6th. And currently, we are at least looking a little bit like a respectable kind of team. Right, pit window is open for both drivers. We are very much waiting on that kind of contingent rain period really coming. How far out are we from the rain period is the next big question. We're still a couple of laps away. Piastri very much down on his tyre usage from where I would like him to be. Pourchaire should have more inherent pace than he's currently showing, and he should be closer to getting past Bottas than he currently is. We need him to be making that pass as rapidly as we possibly can. Piastri is currently the head of a train. Wet weather is coming soon, within 4 minutes, which is about 2.5 laps, which is about where I predicted it would be coming. So it's going to be a case of who do we get in when and how quickly. Pourchaire, being a little bit further back, could actually benefit quite heavily from this, because if it starts raining whilst we are not, down this back straight, we can get him into the pits. We can get those fresh rubbers on him, and we should be okay. As we go down the back straight, Piastri still not really catching up with Gasly is sort of the biggest problem we have right now, and one we need to address quick sharp, if I'm honest. Let's go back to Piastri and see what we can do here. He's got to hold off George Russell, who's going to look down the inside, you'd expect. He didn't have a look. We got quite lucky there. We need to really have some pushing going on, though, with our deployment mode. So we're going to have a little bit of a look as we come down here. We've gone off board, of course, just to give us a better view of what's going on. 3 minutes till it starts raining. I think it's going to be light rain initially, and then it's just going to be horrendous. So this first period on the inters is really, really important for us as we get into the second phase of the race. Pourchaire, again, still stuck, very much stuck, behind Valtteri Bottas. Not necessarily something I'm excited to see. Piastri is having to really push to try and keep himself ahead. We are going to try and go with some overtake mode, because I think if we don't, we're just going to stay behind Bottas for the rest of the race. We go on board because we're into a DRS zone now. Can we use that big push to get ourselves past him? We can't. It's quite a short DRS zone, that one. Luckily, the one that follows it is one of the longest on the F1 calendar. I do, again, want us to get back behind Perez, because if we can get back behind Perez, I think we're in an okay position. And, we should be able to start using it to force our way past people. But again, we do need that rain to start falling. The second the rain starts falling, I sort of know what I'm doing, which is a rare thing for me to be able to say in both live and on this game, as we've all seen. We'll see what we can do. Right, Pourchaire still looking at Bottas. Piastri still holding off Russell. I think we're going to kind of zoom. Okay, that's the optimal lap for our pit stop. Sure, I get it. I set up the strategy. Sort of want to guess at when the rain was coming. Now is when the rain is coming. And now, what is that gap between Piastri and Pourchaire? I think we're going to have to really push and just come in on this lap. I could be making a mistake here. We've all seen me make mistakes when it comes to the wet weather period. I'm quite good at that. So we need to be getting onto these inters as rapidly as we can. We'll be among the first people to get there, which should be okay. If we can get there before it's actually due for inters, I think better still, because this is going to go halfway through the next lap before I think it's going to go up to full inters. We'll find out in just a second. We're telling everyone to push. Piastri really does need to do the big push here. So does Porsche. Hopefully the gap is there, though. I think the gap is there. I sort of quick mathed it, and we should be about 2.4-ish. So that is okay. It's not too shabby in the grand scheme of things. Track is now damp, so I think we'll start seeing people coming in this lap for pit stops. We'll see how it goes. If we're the first people in, we'll be laughing. We won't be Verstappen and Leclerc are in. Sainz, Hamilton's staying out. Sainz has come in. Hamilton's come in. Gasly surely coming in. We're also going to come in. Is anyone going to take a gamble and stay out and try and stay out till it gets very rainy? That is the question I have. I think we're about halfway up the curve now, so I don't know if it's going to go full wet. If it goes full wet, I've definitely made a big miscalculation. But I think we'll be lucky. We've got Piastri in the box now. We should be okay. Let's keep that all on that, except we will work out what we're doing there in a second. When it finally allows us to do it, that's what we're going to be doing. Piastri at the box, a good 2.8. 2.8 for Porsche. Shouldn't have lost too much double stacking. I wouldn't think. We're coming out in 10th. Some people have definitely stayed out. Gasly has stayed out for sure. Oh, no, sorry. Norris has stayed out for sure. Ocon has stayed out for sure, so he's going to be an absolute sitter here. He's going to have absolutely no issues getting past. You would hope. We're really making a meal of it, if I'm honest, because that's not so good. Where are we looking on the rain chart? It could just tip into wets. I mean, there's a bit of a mixed kind of feeling out there strategy-wise about what we're doing, so that could be a thing. I don't know how we're not passing Ocon right now. We're losing so much time. Overtake Piastri. Get yourself past him. What are you doing? Push the button. Good boy. See, so caught up that Alonso was like, what are you doing? I can pass him. You're an idiot. Come on, buddy. VSC is out. That is a small blessing in disguise, because that means I can start conserving everything and really make the best of this. We're going to have to let Alonso go, of course, but that's not too big a drama, because if there is a crossover period into heavy rain, whilst we're still under VSC, we have got the time to essentially get that little cheap pit stop in, which is going to help us out a great deal. Sonoda's had a crash. Let's have a look, see how Yuki managed to bin it. He's just on dry tyres on a track that's too wet, and he's absolutely stuffed that into the wall. I mean, he wasn't going to make great inroads anyway, if we're completely honest. Don't know why there are still people out on dry tyres. That seems like madness to me. I don't know why I would do that. Right, let's have a look, see how the rain's getting on. We're at the peak of this current rain period, so it shouldn't get much wetter than it is. Because the guys who have gone on wet have probably made a mistake. They've probably gone a bit too early, which I don't have an issue with. And we'll just keep holding on to what we're doing. The guys, going to be some cheap pit stops for Russell, Perez and Gasly, which is unfortunate for us, but Norris as well, going to get himself a cheap pit stop. We should get past them, though. We should still put them behind us. They've had a little bit more time to assess where the rain's going as well, which is probably actually quite beneficial in the grand scheme of things as well. So we should get out ahead of them, you would hope. We'll see as we come out of here. We have got out ahead of all of those guys who just pit. Porsche should be locked in for the fastest lap of the race, what little it matters. I still think Leclerc and Sainz, though, are very much in sitting duck territory, which is something that is well worth us all considering as we go into this second period of the race. And as the VSC comes to an end, I'm going to get ready to pause it so that we can just get everyone on full push. There we go, happy days, and it is time, boys and girls, for the big push. We're going to go in overtake mode with both drivers, because that feels like at least we'll get one of them ahead of Fernando Alonso, and we're going to see how this one all shakes out for us. I think it should shake out fairly well in the grand scheme of things. But we're looking okay. We're looking okay here. That's what really matters. And again, I think Sainz and Leclerc are going to be in real trouble. Let's have a look. They've both dropped back. We should be catching a Ferrari quite quickly if this rain doesn't get any better, or any harder, I should say. We're going to go on the back straight. Are we going to get a good look in on it? Run out of ERS. That's never a good look for us. That's not the one we wanted, is it? That's actually the opposite of the one we wanted. We're going to have a look at the inside of Alonso, though. Can we get this move done? Piastri's having a look. Can he get it done through this second phase of this little twisty chicane-esque section? Looks like he might have got it done. He has got it done. We're through into P5. Hamilton has caught up to Sainz, and honestly, if Sainz holds Hamilton up, we can probably also catch past Sainz and Leclerc. Really book in the third would be nice for us. We should be in a good position to get ourselves pulled away, and that is sort of what I'm hoping for at this stage, is that we will get ourselves pulled away, ready to go, in a happy place to make something happen. How's Porsche doing behind Fernando? We know, of course, he is not quite the overtaker that Piastri is, so we're going to have to give him a little bit of help. Go on to the back straight. Hopefully he'll use his deployment, really push himself up and past Alonso. Get himself back in the hunt. We can always reclaim that ERS later on as we go through the lap on a neutral. We have got the overspeed. Can we get it done? Going into this final corner, we should be okay. Alonso's reappeared there. We're not going to get the traction out the corner. We're not going to be able to help going through here. We're going to get stuck behind in front of the lap. But we've at least had a look. We've at least scared him a little bit. And we can see we are catching up to Hamilton, who is stuck behind Carlos Sainz, who is still on that very bad strategy. It's got to be said. On the hards, he has got to be suffering right now. Let's keep pushing along, because we are leaving Alonso behind. Porsche now has got up and passed. We've caught up to Hamilton and Sainz, and now we're in a real situation, because we can afford to do a bit of a harvest if we need to, and sort of hold station just for a little bit, because once the harder rain starts coming, we're going to be in a good place. We should be able to easily get past Sainz, you would think. Hamilton now gone, of course, and Porsche, he's also gone, but yeah, Piastri should have no issue getting past Sainz, even without ERS. He shouldn't need it, because we have the grip. We should get him coming up the inside of turn one. We're not going to get a look in, because he's covered the apex. Can we get it here? We're really struggling to fight our way past Sainz, but once I sort of re-unleash the ERS, we should be okay. We're going to keep having a look. I'd like to see us go around the outside here. We could have gone around the outside here. We didn't. There is going to be an opportunity to overtake coming up very soon in this lap, though. You can't help feeling that Sainz is very much just a moving chicane at this point, which is not really how you normally describe a Ferrari. But there it is. Come on, we can get him through here. We can surely get him through here. We're getting very close. We're right up his gearbox. Gotta think it's gotta happen in the near future. Just a matter of time. We're pulling out, we're looking wide. Can we get around the outside? We've got the traction. Can we do it here? We have got our nose in front. If we've got our nose in front, we can get the rest of the car in front. We're through. We've pulled ourselves through on Carlos Sainz. We'll drop to Teo Porsche now, because Porsche, we're going to give him the overtake ability to get it done down the back straight, just so we can be absolutely sure we're clear of Sainz as Sainz drops back down the field. And then we really need to start getting ourselves back up onto Lewis Hamilton's gearbox, which is where the real racing is going to be happening today. We are past Carlos Sainz. We have made it through, and now it's all about how we make the rest of this race work out for us with the pit stops. It's not going to get to a proper dry period, is it? We're not going to get into something stupid. I don't know why Connect has popped up. I don't even know how to make connect go away. There we go. Love that. Love that when it wants to have a little bit of a moment. So we can do that. Great. So, Piastri on a bit of a tear. Pourchaire leaving Sainz behind. Alonso and Magnussen have got behind as well. Leclerc is having something of a great race, if we're all completely honest, because he has absolutely made the best of the wet period to stay ahead. Although that said, he's now got Hamilton caught up to him, and if he can hold Hamilton behind, we could get a little two for here, which would be very nice. We've also been saving up the battery just to keep things looking nice and tight and even. We're doing okay. We're in a good position, I think, in this race. Now we're going to take charge off, just go to neutral, because we shouldn't need that much to get past Charles Leclerc. We could even get past Lewis Hamilton, depending how things shake out with the blocking of Leclerc. Hamilton has made his way past Leclerc. We've surely got to get done on the next corner. And Verstappen is away free and clear. He has a free pit stop ahead of us right now. So that is going to be a thing. Pourchaire has had a lock-up. He's put it into the wall. Théo Pourchaire is the absolute bane of my existence. I need to know how far we are from the big wet period now, because he has absolutely destroyed his tyres and his race. So if we are going to make changes, which, I say if we're going to make changes, we're going to have to make changes. Let's see where we are in terms of the big rain. The big rain is a few laps away. We can't really afford to be... we can't afford not to be on an alternative strategy, I think, is the problem. I would like us to be on an alternative strategy, but we're not going to be able to do it. So we're just going to have to drop our pace, look after the set of wets that we're going to have to go on. I hope we don't lose too many places, which is going to be quite the challenge, because in terms of behind us, it's only Sainz on the wets, and Sainz is sort of bottlenecking the cars ahead. Pourchaire will need the new front wing. Piastri has got his way past Leclerc up into third place. So hopefully he'll be in a good position to make something happen here. I think we should, over the course of a lap, actually be faster than Lewis. That would be my general read of the situation. We're going to full deploy anyway, because if we can get ourselves at least back up to Hamilton, then there's no obstacles between us and Verstappen, and at least we can start putting Alonso in our mirrors a little bit. Pourchaire back out on track in 17th, and hopefully we've got enough pure power to keep him ahead of the guys behind, although I have my doubts. I do have my doubts that it will happen. We do need that extra rain to start very, very quickly. Piastri still chasing down Lewis. He will get himself caught up, and hopefully we should get him close enough that we can, I guess, not follow him up to Verstappen. We can at least get ourselves into a good position to pass him, though. I think is what I'm trying to attempt, is trying to get the pass down. Stroll has passed Pourchaire. That's a low point. We haven't been battling with Lance Stroll in quite some time. We haven't been battling with Aston Martins in quite some time. Right, we have used all our deploy, so we have to go back to neutral. But we should have some speed here. Can we get a look up the inside of Lewis Hamilton? I wouldn't bet against it. We are pulling alongside. We've got enough speed. Can we make it stick through the inside of this corner? We have. Can we block him off? We have blocked him off a little bit. We're going to get squeezed out through that corner as we always do. And we go again. We go again. K-Mag is in fourth, and he's currently 12 seconds behind us, which I don't know how that's happened. Leclerc has been dropping back like a stone. The extra rain does need to come. It's about 4 minutes out, at which point Pourchaire should start coming through the field. I don't know if those wets will go to the end of the race, so he's actually okay on strat because everyone else needs to pit. He should be able to make his way through. I think Verstappen is gone. I think it's very much a case of whether us and Hamilton come out ahead of Charles Leclerc once we get through the pit stop phase, because it's very possible the Ferrari strategy team have played a blinder because it's not the real one. It is the game. Right, so let's, without riffing too much on the Ferrari strategy team, we need to be having a look at Hamilton. We just need to be building up the battery, I think, at this point. I think if we do a build up on the battery, we can maybe make something happen if we can get ourselves into a reasonable position as things go. We have entered the pit window for our strategy. Easy for me to say. I English well, so that's a well-known fact that I English well. Right, we do have a little bit more to play with. We're going to go on to neutral because I think we're still going to gain a little bit through here. And when is the heavier rain coming? It is coming now, so we're already pushing on that. We can have a look at the overtake. I really don't know where we're going to be in terms of the weather as we come round to the pit entry line. This could go, really could go either way. It could cross over, and if it does cross over, we're laughing. Verstappen has lapped Porsche, which is concerning. We have gone to full wets, which means we're going to go to the full wets that we planned to now. Get ourselves hopefully in ahead of everyone else, because I think we're the first car on the track apart from Hamilton that can do it. And Verstappen is not in the box. Verstappen has not gone in the box. You can see him there ahead of us. He is still on inters. So, can we make up 30 seconds or the best part of 30 seconds, in the time we have until he can get himself into the pit box? This could be a very exciting race. It may not be. It could be a very exciting race, though. Porsche does need to kind of buck his ideas up, but he is going to be going a little bit faster in the rain now. He should be able to even unlap himself from Verstappen, but we know he won't do that because the AI doesn't allow you to unlap yourself. It's a real pain. It's a real pain in these conditions when you're stuck behind a car that's on worse tyres than you, and you can't push, because if you do, you're going to lose some time. So, because we can't do that, we're going to drop back and save some tyres. We're in the box with Piastri. We should be in a good position. Say hello to Krings, everyone. We should be in a good position to get ourselves out and ahead of some people. We could actually do quite well in breaking down that gap to Verstappen ahead of us. This might be the play of the season. If we can just make this work. I am just harvesting everything I can harvest at this point, because there's literally no point us trying to push whilst we've got Verstappen in front of us. He can't go any faster. Hamilton has come out a minute behind, or Piastri certainly has come out a minute behind, so it is just about that big push now. We're going to put him onto neutral just to be on the safe side, because we're going to need that to happen. Is Verstappen going to come into the box and unleash Théo Pourchaire? That's what I really need to know, because if he does, happy days. And if he doesn't, we're in trouble. He is not coming in, for Christ's sake, Max. It's great for Oscar, but what on earth are you thinking, you absolute moron? I know you've got a big old gap, bud, but it's not that big a gap. And it's going to be eaten away very, very quickly by our drivers coming, or by Piastri and Hamilton coming up behind. We have a VSC out. That changes something. Where are we on the track now? Because we are 100% rain. It's not going to get any drier. That's going to give Verstappen the free pit stop, though, if the VSC stays out. Who has been involved in the big crash? That's the question we all need to ask. I have a feeling it was Gasly. Let's do an ignore, and let's look at that replay, please. So, Ocon and Gasly have been involved. What has happened here? Something's gone up. He's had a spin. Okay. How have you hit him? You were going 3 miles an hour. Absolutely ridiculous. Ocon should have got the penalty for that, because, yeah, Gasly's binned it, like. But, frankly, Ocon should have seen that coming. Let's be completely real. Ocon should have seen that coming. Verstappen is not into the pits just yet. He is a while from the box. If the VSC ends, and the VSC's probably saved his gap, we probably could have done a better job of saving some tyres during VSC, but you know, that's a thing we'll learn from now, and we'll keep going as best we can for the near future. That's going to be our thing, I think, for, you know, for what it's worth. That is where we're looking to be. We're looking to be achieving. Right, we are still quite far. Well, I say we're about 2/3 of the way into the race, give or take. Yeah, about 2/3 of the way into the race. We are waiting for this VSC to end. I'd like it to end before Verstappen gets in the box. I don't even know where Verstappen has gone. Is he behind us? He is behind us. We passed him, and I didn't even spot that we passed him. That is quite incredible. Okay, so we're going to have to keep this going, though. We have to really, really hit the big push now. Hamilton has got at least the ability to take advantage of the VSC having ended by the time Verstappen got into the box. We should be able to cut this gap down a little bit, which will help us with our time loss. Where are we doing with... I didn't tell Piastri to push. I was paying attention. I don't know why you didn't tell me. You guys were watching. Pay attention. Come on, tell me what I'm doing. Right, neutral. That's what we're doing. Right, let's get ourselves caught up. We're still showing Verstappen as at pit out, but we have caught up a little bit. 15 seconds? Is that going to go down from 15 seconds? You've got to hope it would. 12 seconds. 12 seconds isn't unassailable, given that we've been looking after our tyres a little bit well. Verstappen, frankly, if we hadn't had that VSC, would have been caught on the pit stop, and so he has had a little stroke of luck. But we need Piastri to be catching up now. That's kind of the cliff notes, what's going on here. Right, Porsche has 12 seconds behind Ricciardo. Can't say I'm impressed. Perez and Show are now on inters, which is a huge mistake. One not to be repeated. Show, I mean, doesn't make a difference to his race anyway, because his race was over before the lights went out. It was over when qualifying ended, if we're completely honest. But we do need Piastri to have a little push up here. We've got a good gap over Alonso if we need to come up for inters later as well, which I really like. I like having that little gap ahead of us. But again, it's all about the push now, all about the big push. Porsche is getting there, back into some sort of range of Ricciardo. We're, meanwhile, not doing a great job getting ourselves back in range of Lewis, but I think Lewis might be trying to push onto the back of Max as well. It's very possible that's what's being attempted here. Porsche is, of course, having a go at doing his own thing too. We'll keep having a look. I still think we should have the pace over Lewis. I don't see a reason we wouldn't have that bit of extra pace over Lewis. We have been looking slightly better throughout quali and throughout practice, so we should have something to offer here. We're having a sort of bit of a fast forward towards the end of the race because Porsche is just trying to catch up a gap to Ricciardo. We are seeing the rain start coming down. The track will start drying up, but I don't think it's going to go fully dry. I would hazard a guess it's probably not going to go fully dry. It may not even get to a proper long inters period, but we'll play that one by ear. Piastri has caught Lewis, which is good, although Lewis in a crossover period, you know, you wouldn't bet against him. You would never bet against him in a crossover period, that is for sure, but it is going to depend very much on who makes what decisions, what the weather does. It could all go any direction. Piastri is having a little look at Lewis. He's having a look down the outside now. Can he keep his foot in and get this done? He's not going to, because that track narrows too much for the AI to deal with. But we've still got time here. We're still in wet period as well, which is good. We've got Alonso really far behind and holding up Charles Leclerc, which is great. Can we take Hamilton down the inside here? Looks like we're going to have a go. We're having a look. Can we make this one stick? I don't think we can, but, you know, we've got the inside line here. Can we make it go? We are going for it. We are going for it. We're pushing through. I think we have cleared him. Have we cleared him entirely? Not quite. We have now. We're ahead, and because there's no DRS, we should be okay to get ourselves through to the end of the race. Porsche, I'm not going to gamble on him making it to the end of the race on on that one set of tyres if it's not going to dry out. It might dry out, but I don't see it, frankly. I don't know if anyone else is going to be brave enough to come into the box. It all very much depends how long this dry period is going to, or this intermediate-like period is going to go on for. I might make the jump onto them with Piastri because it's only Hamilton I've got to catch, and we should be able to make that gap up. If it drops below, we'll keep going just to see how it looks in terms of the track drying out. We're still staying above 4 mil, and we are pushing away from Lewis. We are sort of slowly catching Max, which is quite nice. If we can get within the Inters period now, in fact, having a think about it, is this the time to box? I think it might be. Where are we at? This is the time to box. We're going to go to the Inters now, pull the trigger a little bit early on the Inters that we were going to finish the race on. I think that could be quite a cheeky move. That, I don't know if it's a race-winning move, but it's certainly a cheeky move. As long as the rain holds off, so it's just about to drop into the damp period. We're coming into the box. Pourchaire, I probably could have put into the box a bit earlier, and I probably should at the end of this lap if I'm going to make this strategy work. So we'll go with that. That will work for us. And we'll go and get him onto a set of Inters. What's gone on with his car? Something is wrong with his car. I don't know what it is. Aero. What's wrong with the aero, bud? Suspension damage. Well, you've thought that through, haven't you? You're having an absolute shocker of a race today. Good stuff. Right, we'll put you onto Inters as well because there's nothing to lose at this point with Théo Pourchaire. And we'll stay on board with Piastri, who's done a 2.8 in the pit lane, but he will come out with Alonso still behind on the best tyres for the track conditions. I think we should eat time out of Lewis Hamilton at this point. And if Verstappen can't get into the box in time, he is going to get into the box in time. Hamilton's taken the lead. We are going to come out just behind Max on tyres we're not really hoping to make to the end, because I think there's still an alternative strategy here. And we've got ourselves up into second place, which is quite magical. Pourchaire has done an overtake on Sebastian Vettel. We'll have a little look at that, because we're not going to see many more overtakes from Pourchaire today. And we've seen a pretty strong one. He's done well. Good stuff from our little understudy there. Right, where are we at in terms of making things happen, though? Rain-wise, we should be expecting the rain to come back in a few more laps, so I'm not too worried about burning through these tyres. I am thinking we should be trying to burn some ERS at some stage. Probably not now. We'll wait till we're on the last wet stint, because I think that last wet stint's going to be really, really important to the race overall. And I think that's going to be where the real magic happens. We won't watch the overtake from Pourchaire and Ricciardo. It's not actually for anything of note. So it's kind of a bit moot. But Piastri is on course for a very, very good podium here. I don't know who that car directly ahead of us is. Is that Verstappen? He seems closer than 7 seconds away. I'd say it's probably more likely going to be a Bottas, maybe? Or is that a show? Or I don't know. Tsunoda, maybe? I could tell if I went off board, probably, because I'll probably get a long shot. That's an Alpha Tauri. It'll be the back Alpha Tauri, so it'll be Lance Stroll. That's Lance Stroll we're catching. That's beautiful. He should just let us through. You would hope, if he's got any kind of racing decorum about him. We will also, once we are past, thank you very much, Mr. Stroll, we're going to go to deploy now, because I think this is the time to really use it and to get ourselves slowly caught back up to Max. We are hitting the low point now of the damp weather, which is quite helpful. But it is going to kick back in with some very strong rain in just a second. And now is the point where I question, do I take the big risk? It's 8 laps to go. Do I take the big risk of putting Pourchaire, who's probably already missed the pit entry? I think he's missed that pit entry, unfortunately. I was going to say, do I take the gamble and put Pourchaire on the wet? But I am thinking, do I take the gamble and put Piastri on a set of wets, knowing it's going to get to a wet period again within seconds. I'd say, given how much it started getting wetter down that back straight, we probably do have less than half a lap before it goes wet. So we are going to go for that big push. We'll put that into neutral so we don't use too much ERS coming out of the pits. And we'll put Pourchaire onto a set of wets as well. Again, probably a bit too late for him. But, you know, it's... I should have tried it, really. It could have happened. It probably wouldn't. I think it has to be 200 metres out to make that decision. But unless Hamilton follows us in, I think he's a sitting duck. I think Alonso, the gap is too big for him to pass us, so we should just start pulling away. And I think even by the time we get out of the pit lane here, we could be in full wet conditions, which means if I can get a 6-second gap or a 6-second faster lap than Verstappen off this lap before he has a chance to come in, we are going to be leading this race, which is actually sort of ridiculous, quite frankly. We will let that zoom forward until we get to Pourchaire's pit stop, because that's going to be a thing we'll want to see. Track condition has changed to wet, and the big question now is, how fast does Piastri make up that gap to Max Verstappen? Verstappen and Hamilton are surely coming into the box now. We won't stay on board because Piastri should just breeze past here on Lewis. We'll hit the overtake button because I think we need to. Come on, buddy. Hit the overtake button. Hit the overtake button now. Verstappen has not come in again. He's gambled. And that gamble, I think, has probably cost him the race. If I'm completely honest, that gamble will have cost him the race because we're well within a pit stop now. We will stay within a pit stop. If he pits, we've got him. If he doesn't pit, I think we've got him. Hamilton's come in. Hamilton has seen the writing on the wall. It can only be a matter of time before you think Verstappen has to see the writing on the wall as well. Anyone around us also come in. I think Pourchaire has also had a cheeky little look now to get himself ahead of all the cars ahead of him, quite frankly, up to probably Norris, if not Ocon or Gasly. We could still be in with a chance of some beautiful, beautiful points for both drivers. As I said, Hamilton's in. Piastri is a ways behind Verstappen, but for sure catching. Like for sure, hand over fist catching now. 7.3 as Verstappen comes into the box. We'll be gone by the time he gets out of the box. Pourchaire has pushed himself up into 11th, just behind Gasly. If anyone ahead of us is still... Perez still on Inters. Bit of an error, because Gasly will catch him. So will Pourchaire. One of those drivers will get him. We could be in a really great position. Hamilton might even casually sneak this one through for a second place on the podium. Either way, I think as the lap counter ticks down, we may have found the magic formula to put ourselves in for a race win. Verstappen, will catch us up as long as this isn't a safety car. Please don't be a safety car. Something's happened in Sector 1. Piastri, of course, crashed. All he had to do was keep leading the race, and he's had a crash. Let's see how he's managed to utterly balls this one up. Buddy. Okay. Well, we've still got a podium on, I guess. Christ's sake. What is it with this guy? Terminal damage on the front wing, minor damage on everything else. You couldn't make it up, could you? Right, is the rain going to soften up before we get there? No. Okay, so we have to give this some real thought. We've got to come in. We don't really have a choice but to come in. So we're going to go on to a fresh set of wets. We're going to change the front wing. Hopefully. We're going to change the front wing. We are. Good. And we should come out in third on fresher rubber. Cars have been in the wars today. We've got up into 10th with Pourchaire. That's good. We are going to get a podium, but we've probably let our chances of an actual you know, an actual win slipped through our fingers with Piastri just being a bit of a twat. If we're honest, if anyone is to blame for Piastri's poor performance today, it is going to be Oscar Piastri, and that's the cold hard truth of it. A VSC right now would do us quite nicely. Let's get this all done, get ourselves a nice pit stop. Under 10 seconds would be nice, but it's not going to happen, is it? It did happen, 7.6. That's beautiful, and we still have a bit of a gap to Fernando Alonso, who somehow got caught up, I think, in being lapped by someone. I don't know how he's ended up that far back. We're going to come out behind. I guess that's either Stroll or Vettel. Someone who will hopefully let us go straight through is what we're really looking for. Porsche actually is doing quite well. We're going to give him a deploy and see if he can get himself back up on the back of Gasly, because points aren't realistically far away. Piastri, I think with the damage, it might be a little bit terminal. I don't think the fresh tyres are actually going to help him that much. We have finally made the pass. I don't think the fresh tyres are going to catch him up to Lewis. I wish they would, but I don't think they will. And this could be the end of our race, if we're honest about things. I guess we'll give him a deploy just to help him get just somewhere close to the back of Lewis. Looks like Verstappen is about to lap Perez, which is a little bit embarrassing for all involved, but such is life. Unfortunately, you know, life giveth, life taketh away. We are pretty much settled in for the rest of the race now, I think, because there's too much damage on Piastri's car to do anything to catch up to Hamilton. It is very much just a case of try and keep things steady, keep the status quo, not worry too much about how things go. Porsche, he's had a good go. He's not going to have what it takes to get himself on the back of Gasly, unfortunately. I think I said no matter how much I deploy everything at this point, it's not going to happen. We'll keep it neutral. We can't catch 12 seconds up. There is a small chance that Porsche can catch up, but I don't think it will happen. I think that's just wishful thinking on my part. And we'll keep pushing. We'll just keep doing what we're doing. Keep going. Hope for the best. Last lap now with Max Verstappen in the lead. But frankly, Piastri coming through for a podium isn't that bad. Porsche could have done better. He has still finished ahead of Valtteri Bottas. I'll give him that much credit. He did finish ahead of Bottas. So, you know, I'm not going to count this as a strike against him as we look to make the change in the back end of the season, but I do want him to be ahead of him on points by the end of the season, is sort of my thinking. As we're in the last lap, we'll go round for this final few corners. We are in heavy wet territory. Is anyone still on inters? No, thankfully nobody has made the mistake of still being on inters. That is probably for the best, because if you'd made that mistake, you'd feel a bit stupid, wouldn't you? But we've made it through to the end of the Miami Grand Prix. I think we've done pretty well to take the podium, which is not something I would have predicted for this race. I thought we were looking for points. I didn't think a podium was on. The weather has definitely helped us. We have finished where we started, which is always a small blessing, although to be fair, the two guys ahead of us came from behind us, so maybe that is a lost opportunity as well. But we've only got a couple more corners to go, and Oscar Piastri will take his first podium of the season. His second podium in Williams colours. Of course, his first was the win at Singapore last season. But we do have the pace in this car, at least, to be able to do something, to make something of ourselves. And if we're still on the old point system, which unfortunately, of course, we're not, then we'd have brought in Porsche for a points win as well. If Porsche is under pressure from Ocon, could still lose out here. We're going to have to give him a bit of a push on the fuel and hope he can still cross the line. I don't mind him running out of fuel on the line, as you've seen in the last race. I don't mind my driver running out of fuel as they cross the line. That doesn't bother me in the slightest, but I do worry about them getting overtaken on their way to the line, which is something I find slightly objectionable. So we're going to hope for the best here, hope we can keep this up. Only got one more turn to go. We should make it across the line. We're still at +1, so that's not too bad. I've got to be on a kind of hair trigger here, because if I don't hit the trigger properly at the right time, we're not going to make it. We have made it, and we have crossed the line in P10. A third and 10th is sort of the best I could have asked for today, I think, anyway. And we've taken the points, so that is going to be 6 points. 6 points for Piastri? I think it's 6 points for Piastri. And no points for Porsche, but 6 for Piastri doubles his point tally for the season. More than doubles, I think, his points tally for the season. We will see a podium celebration, though, and a podium celebration has been few and far between. Piastri can't be unhappy with that. I know he was leading, and if he hadn't made that mistake, would have easily won that race, which is the small frustration, but I do expect Piastri to screw it up. And Piastri, he did it to himself. He can't complain I didn't give him the opportunity to win. All he had to do was not hit the wall, and he would have easily, handily won that race. Certainly would have crossed the line in a battle with Max, but I think he would have held on and would have won that race. We've got up to 5th in the Constructors, and we're heading to Catalonia for the next race, which should suit us because we're good at the high-speed stuff. So, confirmation of the race results: 10 points for Max, 8 for Lewis, 6 for Oscar, 5 for Fernando, 4 for Charles, 3 for Kevin Magnussen, 2 for Carlos Sainz, 1 for George Russell. Which means that the Constructors, Oscar Piastri has moved up 2 places to 7th. Porsche drops down to 13th. But 7th, not too shabby. And we have a dead heat at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Leclerc and Verstappen, both on 38 points. The three-way fight for the title as things stand. We, meanwhile, are in a fight at least with Alpine and Alfa Romeo now in the Constructors, which is a good place to be in. Let's see what experience we're going to give our drivers. Anyone going to get experience points? I know David Schumacher won't. I didn't put him out in qualifying because I thought Porsche might need the practice. We've made some money though. We are still very profitable, which is honestly always my number one concern, making sure we are still making some money. And making some money is a thing we are currently doing. I'm very aware this episode has gone long, by the way, guys. I apologise. There was too much happening in the race for me to start slowing things down. That is my excuse, and I'm going to stick to it. Let's have a little look just to make sure there are no points I need to assign to any drivers, because they do have a habit of sneaking up. We've got development points for our tech chief, Michael Huber. Sending better emails is not an option, so we'll go for side pods. That should help that. Any of our engineers got one? No, they have not. Good stuff. Okay, so just have a quick look at the inbox. We are exceeding our expectations. We're doing well overall, and we've been recommended Oliver Beerman to be a driver that we scout. We don't have anyone being scouted, so it just makes sense, doesn't it? To do that scouting. I don't know why it didn't just pick him immediately, but that will be a thing. We'll do the scouting here. We have scouts available. Oh, it's because I've already scouted him, right? Yeah, I have already scouted him. Anyone I haven't scouted, I should be. I'm not going to scout Robert Kubica as much as I want to get Robert Kubica in a car. Lirim Zendeli, is that a name I know? It's not a name I know off the top of my head, but we'll give him a look, see if he's any good, get that scouting underway. Kush Maini, we need to have a look at, because why would we not? Look at that handsome face. We will do that for Kush Maini. And anyone else there? I don't want to have someone called Swiftly Cutter. Paolo Charpentier. I don't want to scout him to find out if he's French or Spanish. Anyone else there that we need to be looking at? I think we looked at everyone else that was super exciting to me, by which I mean actually getting a female driver on the grid would be nice. I think I'm looking at all the female drivers on the grid. So, do you know what? Let's answer the question we all had. Stéphane Jean. He will scout him, also on the basis of pretty. Why not? Why not? That's a thing we can do. Okay, I'm going to wrap things up there because this episode's gone on way too long. We'll come back for the Catalan Grand Prix. It's not the Spanish Grand Prix, it's the Catalan Grand Prix. I've been Chasing Lane. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell. We're going to get more points, start building this team back up, get ourselves in regular contention for wins by the end of the season. I promise you that. Let me know in the comments if you disagree, of course, but, you know, I think we will. I've been Chasing Lane. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all very soon. Until next time, stay safe. Have a good one.